I have just watched a man drive his car into the car park, Range Rover type thing, and remove a old golf bag and set it by my skip. Did I get out and say thank you for coming to my shop an hour and a half before we're open and leaving your old golf bag here? No. Did I remain sat in my car wondering what the heck he was doing an hour and a half before I opened the shop? Maybe. Anyway, hi everyone, my name is Charlie, and today the sun is shining for the moment. We are due some more rain, and I could not be more thrilled at the prospect. I might also be somewhat content and a tiny bit happy because I have finished the first draft of the secret work in progress. Naturally, this means that I can't yet tell you what the book is about. In fact, I am still waiting on my friend Lindsay to send me an email and inform me as to what genre she thinks this book is. And then, if she answers correctly, I might send her the first draft. Because I was thinking about this last night in terms of storytelling, and I couldn't be sure if all the elements of the story are in the correct place for the narrative, because they're in the correct place to me, because that is the way I chose to put them, and it's the way that they came up in the plan to work in a more natural manner. This thing leads into this thing, leads into this thing. However, I can't help but think, given the norm and the trend in the genre in which I'm writing, ought the things to be moved around for those purposes? And that is one question I will ask Lindsay when I eventually do share the manuscript. I might share it with my mother. It's one of those things where she only has a Wednesday off work, and so there's no way she's going to read a 60,000 word manuscript in that time. And I don't know, I've enjoyed keeping it a secret, and the idea of sharing these characters with anybody, I don't know why, but the idea of sharing them does leave me feeling a slight bit of dread. Maybe I've ruined myself with oversharing my work before, and now I think by keeping it to myself, I'm protecting myself as a writer from critics and the like, when my own... Okay, so that happened. You fell off the window. When my only critics are my mother and my friends. And it has left me in this tiny bit of a quandary as to whether this is my next book. Because I keep saying to everyone, and it's very easy for people to go and find out what the genre is. It's very easy for people to look back at my previous videos and figure it all out. In fact, I think there is a slight chance I did actually mention it earlier this year before I decided to keep the story a secret. I'd have to go back and check. And yet, knowing that everyone could easily know what the project's about, and knowing it's something that I've wanted to write for so long, I feel like I shouldn't feel so worried. But then it's this bigger worry because I have only written Doris since 2015, and despite writing a short piece of fiction for National Novel Writing Month one year, and despite going back and forth to a children's book in that time, despite all the different books I read, and being incredibly grateful for the good reviews that I've had for Doris, it still put me back in that mindset of, well, what if these characters don't get people the same way that they get Doris? There is a character within this book that I adore, and originally I knew that I was getting a bit sentimental towards this character, simply because I would write dialogue for her that I might never have any chance of putting into a book ever. But I just enjoyed writing this character's dialogue, so I did it. And because of that, I thought you're getting too attached to this character, but also because of that, that character ended up becoming more important to the story, and ended up gaining more scenes because of that. In contrast to that, characters that I thought would be important to the narrative, that whilst I know their characters completely, I also want to keep... I know that they're keeping themselves more secretive at the moment. They have dwindled in terms of how much time they actually spend within the story. And it's this very strange thing, and I'm very aware that I base scenes on which characters I like to write. I mean, the whole reason you end up with Alf and Edith more in the second Doris book is because I really enjoyed the pairing of Alf and Edith much more than Harold and Doris, because I feel like they're really the straight men in the second one. They are the centre of this world that I have created, and then everything else is going on around them. And I like to bring in Alf and Edith just for this slight change, to say, look, this is how another family worked, and Edith wasn't able to change Alf, but then they're still together. And I like exploring the relationships more because I enjoy those characters. And maybe that's an issue. Maybe I shouldn't grow so attached to my characters, because it will make it more difficult. But I also think at the moment I'm writing incredibly cosy books that people can read, and there's never going to be any gore, there's never going to be anything gruesome. I don't even swear in these books, and there are so many times that I've had to figure out alternatives to swearing, and this was a very I can't think of the word. It was intentional on my part, not because I don't swear, as we have seen through these videos. I do swear, and not because I'm trying to keep a grandmother happy, but because throughout the entirety of writing these books, this is just the two Doris books, I felt that the humour didn't lend itself to swearing. And it goes back to my first year of uni, and if you read the last extra monologue in Doris called Bread, originally that had a swear word in it, and I got marked down for it, and my tutor said it just didn't fit. And it went back even further then to in drama, when sometimes I would include swearing because I felt that it fit, and then teachers say, it's all right to swear, we don't mind swearing, but it can get gratuitous, and it can just feel like it's there for, not for emphasis or to add anything about the character, but just to be there without any need. And there is no necessity in the Doris books, because of the type of humour that I'm trying to emulate, because of the stories I want to emulate, because of all of these different things, and just at Harold and Doris's story, there is no need for swearing to come into it. And so, yeah, I don't know, that was a bit of a diversion there. I didn't actually plan on talking about my worries about this book for 10 minutes, so that's a very strange thing. But yeah, I have really enjoyed the last 3 weeks and the process of writing in these last 3 weeks. As we all know, I do start out very slowly when it comes to writing, and even though I wrote the final 30,000 words in the last 3 weeks, I had to build up to it. And I was having this conversation with my friend Lily. You can probably find it all on Twitter somewhere, in which I say I wish that I'd been able to do all of this earlier, because I would have finished in March. But the thing is, I have to get into the mindset of these characters. I spend a lot of time thinking, and that's the way with all of my books. The reason they take so long is that I think more about them nowadays. I'm more considerate about the words that I'm writing down, and I am more considerate of the type of story I want to tell. Whereas when I was younger, there was a lot of focusing on getting cliffhangers and bitey lines in there. Now I want to delve into the story more, and even if I can get a bitey one-liner in there, if it doesn't fit with the character, or it doesn't fit in with like revealing more of the story, if I need to reveal more of that story, then sometimes I will actually cut out that one-liner, no matter how much it means to me, just so as I can keep the story going where it needs to go. And I've said this before, I work a lot on my first drafts so I don't have to work later, because I know that I'll grow fed up of what I've written. So there has been a lot of going back and changing things, and writing stuff on A4 pieces of paper, and then just saying on the notebook, refer to such and such a page. So this was before I worked on the laptop, obviously, and there was a lot of changes in the plans, and at one point there is supposed to be an entire subplot in this book that I removed because there was another subplot that I wanted to include, and I felt like the other subplot worked more than that one. So naturally, I have pushed that subplot away. It is gone. It might never return. And I don't know. I feel like if I ever do release this book, then it's going to... I don't know. I hope people will enjoy it, as with every book. But I feel like now I've kept it a secret for so long, it can never not be a disappointment to some people. And I know that some people want Doris 3 and expect Doris 3. And I don't know that I've done something wrong by only writing Doris for so long and taking Doris everywhere and being recognised for Doris when I go to events. But I know that I'm, with what went on with the last book not doing so well financially, did give me the permission to go and write this book, to then go back and be thinking about Doris more. I was only thinking about Doris yesterday, and wondering whether I could add a different perspective. There's been this idea in my head for years of writing a series of letters from Doris to either Harold or Theo, and giving her version of events. But then I'm always there like, ugh, but isn't that a bit, Twilight, Midnight Sun type deal? But yes, I'm going to leave that there for now. I may edit this video, I might not. I might be extraordinarily happy with the camera falling down and you all getting to deal with that for a few seconds. Anyway, do you ever get worried about your writing? if you've ever released a book, do you worry about changing genre? Do you worry about changing characters that people have become accustomed to? And do you ever worry that things might not be as good or as well received as they were the last time? I know I've been through this already. I know I went through this with Doris 2 and it stopped me from writing for a while. And we've seen this with giving up on writing, and we've seen it with a ton of things. But just let me know your thoughts. Anyway, until next time, that is all.